Need high-quality video to promote your event, business, or band? We can help.
We're Pixel Pond, a video production team based in the Pacific Northwest, providing high-quality content to clients across the U.S. and Canada.
Whether you want coverage of your live event to promote for next year, or need a camera and a camera operator for your next big project, we can accommodate projects of all sizes.
Your story is important. Visit pixelpondllc.com or send an email to info@pixelpondllc.com to get started today. We can't wait to work with you.
Coming up on Gamers Week podcast. All right, next up, Italian police have seized a haul of counterfeit retro game consoles worth almost 50 million euros or $55.5 million.
The first thing I thought of when I read this is if you were going to stop smuggling and counterfeits of something, why are retro consoles the thing you decided to go for?
Because this whole ring was created by Soldier Boy.
Soldier Boy told.
Okay, fair. He must be stopped.
And what's surprising is that everything is fine in OBS. Nothing needs updating.
Dude,
Nothing
shut the
needs
fuck up.
Right?
We haven't gone live yet. This is shit you tell us afterwards.
Everybody get a backup going.
Roger.
Oh, that was a good thing I checked this. Because it's not using the right microphone.
Oh. Dare I say we're having an episode so far where everything is going well?
Oh, so I say something and it's like, shut your mouth, and then you follow it up?
I'm not going to deny that.
Smile says it all.
We need a cold open that doesn't involve mouths.
I disagree.
That's your opinion.
You're right. You're right.
Okay. And 3, 2, 1. There we are.
There we are.
Look at us.
Zach's in the chat already calling us out for being 3 minutes late.
He's like, I got a tight schedule.
Well, on that note, welcome to Gamers Week podcast. Like the name says, we analyze the best, the worst, and the weirdest headlines of the past week of the video game industry. My name is Ryan, aka retrogamebrews. I'm going to be your host for this episode, which is episode 134. And today is Wednesday, September 18th, 2024. I'm not alone, though. I couldn't do this alone. It would be really boring if it was just me. So I brought 2 fantastic co-hosts along with me. First is a woman who has recently been awarded the Guinness Book of World Records for the most critical insults spouted towards the Star Wars prequel in 90 seconds with 103. Blue Williams, how you doing, Blue?
Do you know how much practice and dedication that took? There is a lot of competition for that particular Guinness World Record. And so I am very proud and honored to have gotten that. Thank you. Thank you.
And by the way, it was verified by a third party that they were not only insults, but they were actually legitimate concerns and critical things. So she couldn't just make anything up, right? They had to be real.
Right. It can't just be fanboy spewing. It had to be, and there was plenty to work with even, with that. So we're good.
She spent 30 seconds on Jar Jar.
Do you really need to spend 30 seconds on Jar Jar?
Yeah,
it's like, you're too easy.
It's a quick way to rack them up, though.
Yeah.
And second, I have a man who was planning on telling everyone that he spent 6 summers in a row at Magic Camp until he was informed that Uncle Magic just won't get the ladies. Donnie G. Donnie, how you doing today?
Uncle I don't like that moniker. I'm staying away from it. No thanks.
You just instantly feel kind of skeevy.
I feel disgusting. I feel like I need a hot shower and to like maybe go confess some sins that I didn't even do. So.
All right. So before we get started, we do have a quick announcement. Being that it's going to be PRGE next weekend, Gamers Week is going to be taking off next week. Don't have a whole lot of time to do editing, trying to get ready for the show. Both Donnie and Blue are going to be at PRGE, so if you are going and you do see them, say hello. I unfortunately won't, but not like you guys cared anyway.
Zach in the chat says, I'll let Donnie do Uncle Magic on me.
I can make these disappear, Zach.
Oh, my goodness.
2. Better make it 3.
Hello.
All right. So why don't we go ahead and jump into our reviews, reactions, and requests. First up from at HR Bomber. Do I want to buy a PS5 Pro? Yes. More power is always welcome, but my broke ass just can't afford it at launch. Got too many things going on. I can't spare the extra change. I think that's a lot of people's conundrum at the moment. I mean, there are quite a few people who just don't want to buy it anyway, but for most people who do want to buy it, that's a pricey addition.
But I mean, if somebody just gave you one, it's not like you would turn it down.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Could you imagine being the person that did turn like, ooh, PS5 Pro? No, thank you. It's free. No, I can't do that.
That might be another good topic for an uncut. It's what system? If someone gave it to you for free, you'd be like, no, I'm going
down.
Yeah.
All right. Next up from Busier D. I'm not buying a PS5 Pro. PC covers over 90% of gaming history. The PS5 has just a handful of games I'm interested, and they've started releasing on PC. I guess I'll hold off and just buy a new GPU instead. I mean, an investment towards a GPU. But
I mean, $700 is nothing to sneeze at.
Right, but I would say if you're going to go like the 40 series, right, that's at least $1,000, if not higher. I mean, the 4090s.
You're going to have to buy 2 PS5 Pros in order to get like high quality video card.
And last up is at Sanity Crypto said, finally finished last week's episode. Loved the Mist. Do you want me to say it?
Go ahead.
Mist. And I gotta say, the quality of the show you produce while recording live is absolutely top notch. Hope it'll be easier all around, even though the editing for the replay is still a thing. Every show is still an absolute banger. Thank you so much, Sanity. I appreciate that, man.
Thank you, Sanity. And I will apologize to everybody who listens to the show. I did miss an F-bomb. It was completely un-Yoshi'd out there in the raw. 133 episodes, and I finally missed one. I think that's pretty good. Also, it was like 1 a.m. and I was really tired. So apologies, but also I think I've done amazingly so far.
You have.
Yeah, why don't we give like a round of applause for Blue, right? Like you finally made it, right? Because you let one F-bomb go through, I think.
Oh, Games with Coffee says, I literally gasped out loud at the missed Yoshi.
A raw Really?
Yep. Yeah, it was. Mr. Thou says, Yoshi was tired last week. He's bound to miss one. Yoshi had to do a lot last week, so.
Yes, he did.
All right, so why don't we go ahead and shout out our patrons?
We couldn't do what we do without the help of our gorgeous patrons. Here are the generous folks supporting Gamers Week on Patreon. And we have a new patron to announce. A big thank you and welcome to absolutely the best podcast. Woo! They'll be joining Wizard of Zardoz, Bobson Dugnut, Blue's Little Sis, Loud Moth, Retro Blast Pat, who's now 40 years old, BNT Silica. Will Gamers Week podcast have a kissing booth at PRGE? Inquiring Lips want to know. Seven Castle Forest, Crunchy Kong, Sheriff Snacks, Frank Grande, Love Retro BTW, Steven Sand, Ramboski, Terry Canaire, A Jill 2020. Don't make me pull over this. Don't make me pull this car over since you changed it. Sir Coffee of House Blend, first of his name. Hybrid Divide, Matto1606, You Fall Before Me, KVPGH, the Pixel Pond family, including Shannon and Luke, Zach Huge Thanks, number one Blue Sick Boys fan, John Baran, Sony with the Smashing Pumpkins, Evo Lust, Ry's secret best friend, Mega Retro Man, Gamatroid, Maura Deeb, Michael Lakite, Emo-esque, Bill Tucker, The Real Retro Game Brews, Fruitcakes Pickled Pepper, and Ducks with Thick Thighs. If you like what you hear today, and we really hope you do, please consider joining us on Patreon. Your support helps cover the cost of producing the show, as well as other cool stuff we'll be doing like prizes and giveaways. You'll also gain access to our bi-weekly patron-only bonus cast called Gamers Week Uncut, Patrons with Benefits. Visit patreon.com/gamersweek or follow the link in the show notes to learn more.
All right, so why don't we look at our headlines for the week?
All right. This headline segment is sponsored by the Retro Game Club podcast. It's a fantastic, family-friendly retro gaming podcast. In each episode, Rob and Hugh pick 2 games to play and discuss, as well as news, interviews, and other topics. Right now, they're playing through Mortal Kombat 2 and Beetlejuice. Visit them at retrogameclub.net or follow the link in the show notes to learn more.
So is this like the LJN Beetlejuice?
Yeah.
Oh,
Davey and Ducks played that this past weekend for the Finer Things. And so of these 2 games, I know which one I would rather play through. That Beetlejuice one is awful.
I've never played it.
And it makes no sense. Absolutely no sense.
I mean, that's like 98% of LJN games. Is,
Right.
Fair.
Right.
But like even it makes no sense from the movie perspective, and it makes 0 sense from a normal video game perspective, like how you progress through things.
If you've ever played Nightmare on Elm Street on the NES, which, again, weird property to have on the NES, especially in America, considering how many other things they must have censored out, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And it's based off of the Dream Masters, Friday the 13th.
Dream Warriors?
Dream Warriors, sorry, Dream
okay.
Warriors, yep. And it just like, it seemed like they had a game in mind, and they're like, you know what? Why don't we just put characters and sprites over top of it? Boom, boom. There you go. That's a Beetlejuice game. That's a Nightmare on Elm Street game.
Can you imagine a Hellraiser NES game? Chiptune, we have such sights to show.
That could be awesome, though. Think of the mini games where you're trying to open the box.
I think you have something there.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about homebrews the other day. There we go.
Yeah.
Ooh.
As long as they release it on the NES, I'm fine.
I like this idea. I like this idea very much. I want one.
All right. So first up from our week's headlines, Nintendo and the Pokémon Company has filed a patent infringement lawsuit against Pocketpair, which makes the game Palworld, citing the infringement of multiple patent rights. Palworld has drawn comparisons to Pokemon since its launch in January due to the perceived visual similarities of its pale monsters to Pokemon. Right around the time of Palworld's viral launch, Pocketpair CEO Takuro Mitsuobi shot down legal concerns despite Nintendo's famously trigger-happy legal team, saying we absolutely no intention of infringing upon intellectual properties of other companies. Currently, Palworld is available on PC and Xbox in early access, though there have been rumors that the game is set to have a big showing at the Tokyo Game Show. It's believed that the long-awaited Palworld PlayStation port is going to be announced at the event, possibly coinciding with the game's 1.0 release. Nintendo's lawsuit could potentially throw a wrench in those plans, and it's unclear what this means for the existing versions of Palworld on PC and Xbox. I think we all kind of saw this coming. I mean, am I wrong on this?
You're not wrong. I think we all saw it coming. What we didn't see is that it would take Nintendo 8 months to do it, which is the weird part, because normally they don't let anyone get away with anything, not even YouTubers trying to use their music. Palworld has been so successful that we covered that article where the CEO said, we have so much money, our next game could go beyond AAA. Like, we don't even know what to do with all this money. It's falling out of our pockets every time we bend over. So you could say on the one hand, Nintendo just waited until that news came out and said, now we're going to sue them.
Yeah. You know you messed up, right?
Yeah, normally they don't do that. Normally they just go for it.
So do you think this is Nintendo just kind of crossing their T's and dotting their I's, making sure that they have a very firm legal ground to go after this company, not just like, hey, that might be speculation that their stuff kind of looks like Pokemon. I think anything really could be a Pokemon, but it's like, hey, this is specifically looking like this is a complete ripoff. So,
well, it's like Digimon was a complete ripoff of it, and that still had games that still sold.
But there's a lot of like Pokemon-like type things. So just the idea of collecting monsters is not really a thing that Nintendo, I think, can stop for other companies from doing. I think with Palworld specifically, while I haven't played it, but what I've heard is that no, really, the Pals look like almost one for one to several Pokemon. And though the lawsuit or the articles to my knowledge don't specify which ones they're really on about, it may be tough for Palworld to say, we came up with this design all our own.
Right.
But I mean, the burden of proof is on Nintendo, right? To say, these are the similarities. This is what we believe. This is how this company was able to make money, was off of our idea. And I think the point we made earlier is that there are a lot of examples of other properties that have used similar things, even from an art style perspective. I mean, that's like, it's kind of Japanese anime anyway, right? I think one of the biggest differences that you see is, don't the Palworld monsters have guns?
Yeah, well, that's
so,
the
right?
joke.
Right.
It's Pokemon with guns the whole time, but I don't think that is enough to create the like legally distinct difference.
Right. So Duck said Palworld character models are straight up ripoffs in many cases. So if they're straight up ripoffs, you're like, this is Pikachu, and you can't tell the difference between them, then yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that Palworld has a lot of stuff that's theirs, but they've got enough of actual Pokemon in it that they may end up having a problem.
Right.
Here's the problem, though. Whenever I look at like the cover art for Palworld, I think Pokemon immediately. The characters that I'm seeing, those are Pokemon tried and true. So that's where I think Nintendo is actually going to win this, because they're going to say, when people see this, they think it's Pokemon. That has such a stranglehold on this particular look, style, and feel that anybody that tries to come in behind it and create something that kind of looks similar, people are going to say that's Pokemon.
And you do wonder, I gotta believe it was intentional on Pocketpair's part, because that whole thing of Pokemon with guns, they benefited so much from that kind of meme or that kind of summary that people use prior to the game. And everybody loves Pokemon, so everybody's like, oh, I totally want to play Pokemon with guns. And I think that being able to call it that is a large reason why the game is so successful.
Yeah, it memified the game for sure. Got its name out there. It's like free advertising for them.
So right now it's only available on PC and Xbox, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
If you want to play it, maybe do it now.
Right?
No, not my type of game, so I think I'm going to pass.
Yeah. Well, I'd be interested to follow this. I still think Nintendo probably has the better lawyers, but Pocketpair, I mean, they've said they've made so much money.
Well, that's going to go now towards your legal fund.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we know exactly where that money is going, like Clayman71 said in the chat. In theory, Pocketpair could just remove the offending designs and continue with the game.
Probably. I mean, would it make a big difference as far as the gameplay is concerned if Pikachu is now bright pink with guns?
Webhead says, calling it Pokemon with guns is super effective.
Dun, 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 dun. All right, next up, in a recent interview with Kiwi Talks, Bethesda veteran Bruce Nesmith says it will be almost impossible for Elder Scrolls 6 to meet expectations of fans. The fans who want to buy Elder Scrolls 6, their expectation is going to be almost impossible to meet, Nesmith said. And the marketing departments just put their heads in their hands and weep at this, because it's like, okay, it isn't perfect. It doesn't get a 95 plus on Metacritic. We're a failure. Bethesda has already run up against the wall of insurmountable expectations with Starfield, which by most measures was good, but not great. This resulted in a sub 60% user rating on Steam and a general sense that the game was somehow a failure, or at very least a fumble. All the pressure isn't entirely negative. Nesmith said that the weight of Bethesda's legacy is a blessing and a curse, because the high bar means that the development team will be given the resources it needs to clear the bar. I think this might be the new normal.
I think it is. If your studio has been blessed with hits, and it's like if studio has one big hit and everybody goes to play the next one and is like, gee, I hope it's as good as the second one. But when they've had decade plus of hit after hit after hit, I mean, yeah, now you've dug your own grave, so to speak, as far as player expectations, because they're going to want this same like mind-blowing experience every time. That's what you've told them they can expect. Also, when you announce Elder Scrolls 6 like approximately 26 years before you actually plan on releasing it, I mean, they're going to think this game is going to be amazing by the time it gets to us.
So you become a victim of your own success. Either you fail miserably or become a victim of your own
live long
success.
enough to become the villain.
Become the villain. Right.
Yep. And you know what? I think it sucks, though, that's the bar of success or failure. I mean, if we think about it on a 60%, that says it's above average, right? I mean, if you were to think about that. Now, is that true? Is that how people actually rate things? No. I would say like an 8 or a 7.5 is probably average for a game.
Well, if you were in school, it would be a C.
It would be a passing grade, right? 60 is like a D minus, so technically it's passing.
Technically it's passing, but you are not going to be able to play sports.
Right.
You're going to be benched for your GPA.
But like 95 is the bar that we've got to hit nowadays for a game to be considered successful. And that says, so what that also does, I think it ends up limiting what games that would take risks do. If we're chasing that 95, how many times has there been like review bombs for something that was unpopular with a certain group of people, right? All of a sudden, oh my God, there's a female protagonist, so we're going to review bomb this, right? So what you end up getting from that is a lot less creativity, a lot less willingness to take risks, and you're striving for perfection. When I think some of the best games that have come out there. I mean, if you look at like Baldur's Gate 3, they took some risks with that one and it paid off. But if you have a studio sitting there with 10 years worth of classics, you don't want to be the reason that it falls down, is what I'll say. You don't want to be that person to pull out the last block of Jenga and let it topple over top.
And do we actually have to go by review score and not just overall units sold?
Sure. And
monetary value recouped? Like if you spent $10 million to develop the game and you made $25 million, I'd call that a success. Any business person would call that as a success.
100%. And I mean, that keeps the lights on and it keeps people coming back.
Of course. But I get what you're saying when it's, people go wild for user scores, or reviews or whatnot. But you make a great point. When there's something in the game that somebody doesn't like, or if the company does something that the user base doesn't like, they'll go in and they'll review bomb the hell out of it. And next thing you know, it tanks. Oh, it's still a successful game, but based on the reviews, obviously it's a failure. And I don't necessarily agree with that.
I don't think it should be considered a failure if it's below 95%. It's
definitely not.
And to that point, I think, TK85 said Metacritic users are either 10 or 0. There is no in between with these folks, which is crazy. It's either a perfect game or it's the biggest piece of shit I've ever seen. The fact that there's no gray, it's either black or white. It's just nuts. But I think that, like I said, that's the norm. That's what we live in right now.
Well, and it's also like, even if we take away the idea of review bombing, and if we could just say, let's say the review scores we can trust them. Let's say that. If it's a 93, are we going to throw ourselves off a bridge? I mean,
no.
We all have games that we love that are 7s or 8s.
Sure.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And we spend tons of times with the games that are 7s or 8s. It doesn't have to be perfect. And when you think about the scale and scope of games that Bethesda makes, and then them trying to be perfect, it's crazy.
But isn't that something that Bethesda is ultimately known for their size of their game, their expansiveness and interactions that you can go in and do?
They are, and I think one of the problems too is that you become a victim of your own success with that too.
Right.
Every game's got to be bigger. It's got to be 4 times as big, and then the only problem is you got to fill in that box with stuff that's interesting to do.
This is turning it into an uncut really quickly.
Naughty.
I mean, that's fair. They could settle for doing what Ubisoft does, and we have found the formula, and we do not deviate. It is the same Assassin's Creed every time, and people get sick of that. But there's a new Assassin's Creed every year or so. When there's only a new Elder Scroll like once every blue moon,
right?
Yeah, because people can get as much as they can out of that particular game. Like they have squeezed it dry to where there is like not even the tiniest drop of liquid left in that thing. Like with Grand Theft Auto 5. Grand Theft Auto 5 was coming out on every single platform and yada, yada, yada. And Elder Scrolls Oblivion, you could play it on a toaster. You could play it on this. You could play it on a pregnancy test. And do you really need to come out with something new when you can still get a little bit more out of this IP?
Well, I think also, too, what you're looking at is it's like you want to do that, but you just don't want to be like Grand Theft Auto 5, where it's just pushing as much to keep that game alive. That game is on life support.
Yes.
Right?
Why wouldn't they want to be like the game that made $8.6 billion? Fair
enough. I'm just looking at it from a gamer's perspective.
You mean you bought it 4 times and played through it 1,000 times, and now it's getting old, but they got your money.
Oh yeah, they saw me coming. It's the same game, but with slightly better graphics. You're going to love it.
On the PS5 Pro.
Shut up and take my money.
All right, next up, Italian police have seized a haul of counterfeit retro game consoles worth almost 50 million euros or $55.5 million. Reports to BBC. Alessandro Lagella, head of the Economic Crime Unit for Turin's Financial Police, told the AFP news agency that 12,000 Chinese-made systems containing pirated video games were taken in the haul, all intended to be sold in physical video game stores or online. Devices designed to imitate classic systems made by Nintendo, Sega, and Atari came fitted with the non-certified batteries and electrical circuits, which meant they failed to meet the EU technical or safety standards. The seized systems have since destroyed, and 9 Italian nationals have been arrested and charged with trading in counterfeit goods. Should they be found guilty, they could face up to 8 years in prison.
The first thing I thought of when I read this is if you were going to stop smuggling and counterfeits of something, why are retro consoles the thing you decided to go for?
Because this whole ring was created by Soldier Boy.
Soldier Boy told you.
Okay, fair. He must be stopped. But I mean, can you imagine these police, thank God we saved these unsuspecting customers from having fun for a reasonable price.
I mean, these things have been out for forever, though. I think,
have one.
Right.
No, I have more than one, but they're great. They're for sale on Amazon. What's the big deal?
And they're the plug and plays, so you don't have to really mess around with it. It was kind of, I remember going to the flea market in Las Vegas and seeing not only one, but a bunch of these guys, right? And you would go along and they would have the NES controller with the 4 buttons rather than the 2. And it was always hey, bud, you look old enough to play Nintendo. Would you be interested in this? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's strike one, bud.
So these are the multi 101, 1,001 game systems or whatever that you see at the mall or a flea market or what have you, right?
And the thing is, the 501 is really just 500 levels of different games. Because one game is level 1.1 in Mario. And then it'd be Mario 2, and that's a game.
2.1. Okay.
Right.
That's why they're destroyed. That's why, because they're crap. They're absolute crap. I don't know how many people I see or hear about that have purchased one of these systems, the Nintendo in one, and You look at it and it looks like a complete ripoff of the NES Mini or the SNES Mini. And you're like, I can just tell. And then they say like, oh, these things, they work up to a point, but some of the games that they have loaded on them don't work at all, or this thing glitches and yada, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. I like when people can make money. I do. But in something like this, when you're going to sell it to a consumer who's none the wiser, who actually thinks it's actually one of these mini consoles that's legit from the manufacturer, that's not going to have any problems, they hand you over their hard-earned money and they've been completely duped. Then by all means, sir, run these things over with the lawnmower, set them on fire. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, depending on which one you get, because some of them were going for $70 or $80. I actually think you can get a Retro Pi made for yourself way cheaper than that. Yeah, it requires some YouTube tutorials to figure out how to do, but download the ROMs, get the games you actually want to play, right? And set yourself up with a Retro Pi. So I've never really understood it, but I guess maybe it's convenience, maybe it's lack of knowledge, whatever it is. But to the end of it, right, they are pirated games. They are pirated systems.
Yar.
Right. And the funny part is like they weren't necessarily concerned about the piracy issue. The EU was like, this doesn't match the technical and safety standards, so we're going to get rid of these.
Well, I guess if they're going to set people's houses on fire, okay. But I don't know.
Yeah. Hopefully there's not a Konami code that gets sent to all of them and they all start exploding or something. I don't know. That would be very bad.
I understood that reference.
Up, down, left, right, BA, select, start.
Boom! All right, next up from Tony Hawk.
Kinda.
Yeah. Next up, Tony Hawk has been talking to Activision again ahead of the 25th anniversary of Pro Skater Series. On the latest episode of the Mythical Kitchen, great podcast, by the way, Last Meal series, the iconic skater shared some details on plans for the big birthday. I wish I could tell you more, but I can tell you that I've been talking to Activision again. Hawk told the show host John Schreier a prospect that he described as insanely exciting. While Hawk couldn't share many more details outside of that we're working on something, he did note that the project will be something fans will truly appreciate. Hawk stated in 2022 that he and Activision and Vicarious Visions were working on remasters of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, and that the project was abruptly ended after the developer was absorbed by Blizzard Entertainment. Just last week, fans noticed that the series' social media accounts have been updated with the fresh 25th anniversary banner, sparking speculation around whether something new is in the works.
I, for one, am excited about anything new Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Sure.
The remaster for 1 and 2 was well done. I love the originals, but I cannot make out certain things whenever I'm playing that game, especially the city level when it's dark out and I can't tell what's a curb versus what's a rail. And I mess up completely. So the remasters, I think, were this is one of those times where I actually believe that a remaster was well done and well needed. Most of the games that fell on the original PlayStation, I mean, it's time. It's time for most of them to be remastered. So being able to play that game and see it in its beauty and have the soundtrack still there, I'm all for it if they want to redo 3 and 4. I never really got to play those two games, but because it's on a better system and a more clearer system, I would probably be a day one purchaser on that.
Sanity Crypto says the remaster scratched that itch I've had for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater for so long. TKN85 says the remaster was perfect, including making all the skaters old just like us.
One of us.
You know, what's interesting to me as well, you were describing the fact that you can't see it, and all I could think to myself is like, oh, if you had bifocals on, you'd be good. So it should be Tony Hawk.
There it is.
25th anniversary geriatric edition.
Well, they mentioned in here possible remasters of 3 and 4. Mm-hmm. But is that really how you would want to celebrate the 25th anniversary? It's just with remasters of old games. That'd be so lame.
Something new, but what could they do that's not Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1, 2, 3, or 4? What can they do that's not Skate 3. It's been a long time since we've had a skateboard video game.
And if I recall, Pro Skater 5 didn't do super great.
I didn't even know they had a 5. So that should tell you plenty.
It was called, Tony Hawk's Underground?
I think what was interesting about Underground is that it wasn't specifically about skating. There was a bunch of skating in it, but there was other pieces to it. Like you even had to do missions that had nothing to do with skating and that kind of thing. Like you were a punk rock kid and you had to go steal something, you know?
Yeah. I'm a punk rock kid. I got to go for a job interview, man.
So I think that's what it should be, is these are missions inside the nursing home, right?
Skate down to the rec room and get your tapioca pudding without bailing on your board.
And like the antagonist is the guy from Happy Gilmore, right? He's like a
jackass.
Right now it'll be the grandmother and Ben Stiller's character. I will put you to sleep. How about a warm glass of shut the hell up?
Okay, so Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, this is according to Wikipedia. As the licensing deal between Tony Hawk and Activision was set to expire by the end of 2015, the game was hastily developed within a few months and released unfinished, with most content contained in a large day one patch. As a result, the game was panned heavily by critics upon release. Criticism centered on graphics, bugs, glitches, controls, and lack of design. Although slight praise fell towards the game's soundtrack, it became Robomoto's final game as the company went out of business in August 2016.
Damn.
As well they should have. If you're going to do a rush job just to get the money because of the name of the IP, F you.
Right.
Well, maybe they were just asked to. Maybe Activision said, let's get one more squeeze out of this udder before we lose the licensing deal.
You can say no. You can say no.
Would you say no if they said, here's a blank check, take what you need to get this done?
Yes. If I were a fan of the series and if I knew I was going to be doing it a disservice by rushing it out, I absolutely would. Because I know those people would get crucified.
You would pull a Howard Scott Warshaw. You thought you could do it.
No. I would no. If I knew it was unrealistic, I would not say, because that's my name and reputation on the line. And I stand by my performance. You know, I really do. When it comes to my name and reputation, I don't make unlofty goals that I can't reach, especially in the work area.
Clayman71 says, Donnie grows a conscience live on Twitch.
For the viewers who can't see at home, Donnie is showing one of his fingers. You can get switch.
I do it for the ratings, Clay. I do it for the ratings.
So I don't know. It does seem like the fans are due a new game that is actually good, but I don't know what they're going to come out with for this 25th anniversary.
I'm really hoping that it's some sort of game and maybe not a mobile game. Hopefully not a mobile game. Please say it's not a mobile game.
Oh my God, what an insult.
That would be amazing. Think of the news we would get that week when Activision and Tony Hawk stand up and proudly announce to all of the fans of the past 25 years, we are celebrating the birthday of this illustrious franchise with a mobile game.
With a mobile game.
Free to play, microtransactions.
All I can think of, it's like a augmented reality thing, and you're supposed to hold it up while you're skateboarding. And the kids all over America like end up getting into accidents and stuff with their skateboard because they're trying to hold up their phone while they're doing it. That's all I can think of. Because just what mobile game? It was like when they came out with those finger skateboards and they were hot for a minute, but nobody actually knew how to use. Yeah, the tech deck. Yeah. Nobody actually knew.
I've seen videos of people using their fingers like to flip the thing, and I'm like, you sir, you must
be very popular.
You know. But what if they come out with something VR related? Right, you get a skateboard and put the VR headset on and be on the skateboard in your living room. And you could get on the rail in the SoCal skate park and break your ankle right in your living room.
Haptic boots so you can feel it, right?
Yeah, you feel the ankle break.
All right. And last up, after PlayStation announced that Concord will be shutting down within days, players banded together and hurled themselves off cliffs in pursuit of a soon-to-be-rare platinum trophy. When the dust had settled and the servers went offline, 69 had achieved the near impossible feat. 69! According to the popular trophy tracking site, psnprofiles. However, all nice things must eventually come to an end, and post-Concord shutdown, a player who had received the platinum trophy signed up for psnprofiles account, forever changing the 69 etched in Concord's history to an even 70. I hate you. Players stuck to Reddit to mourn the loss of the meme, even jokingly calling for his new account to be banned. And the platinum trophy, currently 6 at 0.02, obtained rate according to the PSN profile, making it one of the rarest trophies to have.
You know what I think should have been done? What would have been the right thing to do? Is if you got the trophy and then you go sign up for your PSN account and you see that it's currently sitting at 69, you should step back and say, nope, this isn't about me. This is about the greater good. I think that was selfish.
Of course it was.
Ducks in Disguise says, fun fact, Sony wants more dollars for a PS5 Pro than Concord had concurrent players at any given point during its release. Now, that is a fun fact. See, Ryan, that's an actual fun fact versus what you usually say.
Because all of my fun facts aren't fun, and I get it. I get that. I think what I really want to do is find this person that signed on and turned it to 70. And there are services that you can hire, right? Where they will send certain things in the mail for you on behalf of whatever.
Certain
Like a fart
things.
bomb.
Certain things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of those things is it's animal scat. You can pick out the scat that you want, right? It comes certain colors, certain consistencies if you want them. And have it shipped to someone's house, right? And if I knew who this person was and what their address is, I would ship them 70 weeks in a row.
I have many questions about this service. A lot about like the supply chain of it. Like, we need blue ostrich this week. Can you get it?
That's a premium. That's
When you know a guy. When you know a guy, you know a guy.
But yeah, considering that Concord has been a meme since like the very beginning, it really is a shame. It's a shame.
You never go against the 69. Ever, never, ever.
I mean, this is a metaphor, right, for the whole experience for everybody, right? It was promised that it was going to be awesome, and it wasn't, right? It was promised that it was going to be a meme forever because there was only 69 people, and there was no possible way that it was going to go higher than that, and that's funny, and it wasn't.
Duck says ostrich is seasonal.
I
I hear. Allegedly. Maybe it's going to come out because this guy's platinum trophy was found out after games went offline. Maybe it's fake.
So it's like a
Do
scandal.
you think, like, in a way, you could restore the honor of the 69 platinums?
I mean, I think we need to do another verification that all of these people had gotten it, just in case.
Yeah,
right?
in case somebody may be fake. And I think what they should do is they should print out certificates of authenticity. So like if you get something, it's like, this is edition like 4 of 69, and then you could put it on your wall.
There is a reason why on eBay, when I reached user feedback 666, I didn't sell or buy anything for a long time. I was like, you know what? I'm done. I want to keep this user feedback for forever. I want to be 666, and there you go. And eventually I got over it. The desire waned. I was like, I really need to buy this useless piece of whatever. All right, fine, I'll get past it. But then I got to 777. I'm like, I really want to, you know what? I don't have the same desire to drive to, so whatever.
It's not as funny.
No, it's not.
All right, so why don't we go ahead and take a look at our top 3 new releases.
All right, first up is Frostpunk 2, out on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Develop, expand, and advance your city in a society survival game set 30 years after an apocalyptic blizzard ravaged Earth. In Frostpunk 2, you face not only the perils of never-ending winter, but also the powerful factions that watch your every step inside the council hall. Next up is Inotria, The Last Song, out on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC, though you might want to double check that Series X one because remember it was supposed to be delayed indefinitely. Mm-hmm. Inotria, The Last Song is a Souls-like set in a beautiful sunlit world inspired by Italian folklore where the brightest sun casts the darkest shadow, wear unique role-altering masks, face formidable foes, and alter reality with the power of a door to unravel the secrets of Inotria. And then finally, The Plucky Squire, out on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Switch, and PC. The Plucky Squire follows the magical adventures of Jot and his friends, storybook characters who discover a three-dimensional world outside the pages of their book. Jump between 2D and 3D worlds in this charming action-adventure, solving puzzles, boxing badgers, flying with a jetpack, and enjoying many more delightful and surprising mini-challenges as you become the hero of a living storybook. So, out of these three, Donnie, what are you in for?
I've come to help restore your pluck because I'm the squire that likes to probably not going to pick the plucky squire. And if anybody, does anybody know?
I do. Ferris Bueller. Okay. Ferris Bueller.
Yes, Ferris Bueller.
I'm cold and a shit.
It looks like it could be something worth looking at eventually, but it's just the joyful poppy artwork. It's a little bit too
plucky.
Yeah, very much. Very, very plucky for me.
Not suitable for edgelords who want to keep their Facebook rating at 666.
Exactly. So Plucky Squire, not going to be my first choice. Frostpunk 2, I can't really tell what this is. Like it looks like a badass Sim City. But if it's like, I don't know how much of the strategy comes into play here. I'm not a big real-time strategy person, but I do love SimCity. So I'm kind of torn on that one. I'd have to look more into Frostpunk 2 to see if I'm going to choose this, which leads us to Inotria, The Last Song. I see the trailer for it, and it looks like Kefka from Final Fantasy III fighting some other... some other Victorian-esque person. They're all wearing masks and stuff like that. The trailer looks great, but I don't know.
If Eyes Wide Shut was a Souls-like?
Then yes, I'm getting Inotria 2, The Last Song. That is my pick this weekend because it is Eyes Wide Shut in a video game. Yes.
I'm sure that's what it's like. I'm sure. All right. What do you have for Ryan?
So Frostpunk 2, taking a look at that one, it looked like SimCity on hard mode, which I'm sure could be entertaining. But I got to be honest with you, when I do games like SimCity or Civilization, and those games are intended to be more relaxing than like intense. And this one feels like they just kept showing the degradation of your city happening all the time from the winter and everything like that. It just seemed like it was like high stress. I was stressed watching that trailer. So at the end of the day, that's not the kind of game I would want for like a builder. And I do like those types of games. So yeah, just I'm guessing probably not for me on that one. Inotria, The Last Song, it's a Souls-like, so naturally not like a huge fan of that genre in general, but it looks gorgeous from what I could see. I think if you have a fear of clowns, it's probably not the best for you. Right. So keep that in mind. But I like the concept that the masks that you wear alter your role. So there's definitely some differences in that. You could certainly probably more than likely play it a few different ways, a few different times. So there's something appealing about that. But again, it's a Souls-like, so I'm cautious.
Clayman71 says, you don't even know if you're a fan yet. Lies. Liar Game Brews.
I will actually soon have my PS4, so I will be able to play Bloodborne just for you, Clayman.
Again, lies.
So that leaves me with Plucky Squire. When I first started watching the trailer for this, I was like, oh, it's like a really crappy graphics Secret of Mana, right? It was but as it progressed and it turned into kind of that 3D style, it actually looked kind of fun, to be honest with you. I mean, it is very much a retro-inspired action RPG. style game with a lot of extra elements in it, and it sounds like puzzle solving and potentially platforming. It does not look visually like something I would usually go for, but I'm intrigued is what I'm saying, is that the adventure itself happens within the pages of a book as well as like the room that book is in. It could definitely be interesting. So out of the three, I'm going to say Plucky Squire is probably the one I'd be leaning towards.
All right.
Blue, what about you? What are you picking this week?
Well,
as it's going to be a mystery.
Actually, it might be because I think I would play all three of these. Yes. So Frostpunk 2, I don't like SimCity or builder type games. I find them so boring. This one actually looks like it might be interesting because there's something else going on. It's not just manage your economy. It's survive the winter. Like, it feels so much more interesting and exciting. That's one I definitely want to keep an eye on. In No Tree of the Last Song, early reviews are not great, but it's a AA studio. So I think that could be expected. Like, I just finished playing a month or so ago, Banishers Ghosts of New Eden, which was a AA game. There was a lot of gold in that game and I really enjoyed it. There were a lot of problems too. So I could guess that maybe that's why this one is getting kind of mid reviews. I'd still be willing to give it a chance. But of these, yes, the one I'm most likely to pick up is the Plucky Squire, despite all the shitting on it that's going on in the chat and between you two. I think it looks so adorable and creative and fun, and I can't wait to pick this one up.
I agree. I think you make an excellent choice. The only thing is I just don't know who you are because you picked a building game. Even if you, despite your explanation, I'm still not sold that you would like this game.
Well, you're just going to have to trust me.
I don't like that either.
I know you're so good at trusting me, so.
All right. So before we move on, let's take a quick break to talk about our sponsor. This segment is proudly sponsored by A Gamer Looks at 40. The show explores the history of video games through the stories and experiences of the people who lived it. This week, Bill talks early PC gaming, Pokemon, Sonic, and not a shred of Final Fantasy with Ben Magnet of the Fake Nerd Podcast, he is here today. Ben, woo! So this week's question is, what is your favorite game on your first PC? Let Bill know the answer by sending him a tweet at A Gamer Looks at 40 on Twitter.
I never really got into PC games like ever. So my answer is just going to be like the Windows pack-in games.
So it's like Solitaire or Minesweeper?
Minesweeper all day long.
And like you actually know how to play that game.
I do.
I don't. I just click randomly and then see where it goes.
I would be willing to show you.
I'm not willing to learn.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. Nobody ever wants to learn. It's like, I'll teach anybody who wants to know, but nobody ever is interested.
My first PC was like an IBM PC that my dad put together with parts and stuff like that. So it had a 5 1/4 floppy drive in it. Mm-hmm. And the game that we used to play all the time with my mom was Wheel of Fortune. And it was like really awful. Like, you know how Kung Fu looks on the NES, right? Where everything is just real blocky, right? That's exactly what Vanna White looked like. Very, very basic, but had a lot of fun with that one. There was a Jeopardy one, but I was too young to actually know what the answers to stuff was, so it never worked out. So Wheel of Fortune was definitely that first PC, my favorite game, for sure.
Webhead in the chat says favorite PC game is Chex Quest.
Great game.
Ducks in Disguise says first PC game was Maniac Mansion for the C64. Love that goofy game.
Very nice.
Ben Magnet says Sonic CD and Doom. TKN85 says, in college, I commissioned my electrical engineer roommate to build me a PC that could play Doom 3. I then played it for an hour and got too scared and gave up on PC game. And Sanity Crypto says, Leisure Suit Larry, Wet Dreams Don't Drive.
Don't drive.
Yes. So my parents, my dad had a Tandy computer. And the game that I loved on that one, obviously, was Leisure Suit Larry in the Land of the Lounge Lizards, when I bought my first PC in 1998 off the back of a video game magazine from a company called CyberPower. It was huge. I mean, this tower was freaking huge. The inside, the board was very small. And I'm like, why do I need that? I thought bigger was better. I thought it was going to be a badass machine. And it barely did anything. But the first game that I bought for it was a game called Sanitarium. It was a point-and-click adventure game that you're in an asylum. You're in a sanitarium. And I don't remember the premise of it other than that. But games like the Police Quest and stuff like that. My favorite game, however, was the Seventh Guest for the PC. It's a full-motion video game where, you're solving puzzles and all that stuff. So,
full-motion video. Who knew Donnie was going to pick one of those?
You don't know me. All right, fellow kids, it's time once again to... Wait a minute. We're not doing the retro rewind. Tonight is trivia.
Oh no.
Blue's favorite thing. Yes, we've got video game trivia coming at you. We've got several categories, several questions in each category. We're not going to go through all of them. Probably about 2 or 3 in each one and tally up the winner. We're going to start with Ryan.
Okay.
Ryan, you can choose from 80s classics, full motion video frenzy.
Oh, not that one.
Resident Evil, Haiku Heaven, or Grab Bag.
Wow, there's a lot.
I'm going to go with 80s.
80s classics. Mm-hmm. Now, you in the chat, if you know the answer, please do not yell it out, spell it out in the chat. We're gonna wait for Ryan to answer first. Blue, you can steal.
Okay.
Created by animator Don Bluth, what Laserdisc-based arcade game was released in 1983?
Dragon's Lair.
Ding, 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 ding. Ryan is correct. That's 1 point for Ryan.
Sanity Crypto said, I was going to Google it and then pretend I'm smart.
I do that all the time, Sanity. Blue, you're up next with choices of 80s classics, full motion video frenzy, Resident Evil, Haiku Heaven, or Grab Bag.
My first instinct is Resident Evil, but I think this is going to expose my lack of lore knowledge. But sure, we'll try it. Resident Evil.
Resident Evil? Okay.
Yeah.
Why was Leon late to his first day as a cop in Resident Evil 2?
Car wreck?
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Wrong. Ryan, do you know?
No, not at all.
So he got dumped and decided to get drunk.
Oh.
That's why he was late on his first day to work.
Hangovers will do that, man.
I have a lot of questions about who would dump Leon. He's my video game boyfriend. So I need to know who this is.
Well, he was dumped. He's right there for the taking. Why didn't you move in?
Because clearly I didn't know.
That's right. That's right. Ryan, you're up next.
I like grabbing bags, so let's go with grab bag.
You do like grabbing bags. In the world of video game peripherals, this one was meant to make the user feel punches, explosions, kicks, uppercuts, slam dunks, crashes, body blows, and more.
And it's for Sega, right?
No hints.
It's the activator. Oh, what is that?
Claim it says an older brother.
It's like the Sega activator.
Final answer?
Yeah.
Incorrect.
Oof.
Blue, you can steal.
You have one of those.
I do.
I know because we've talked about it, but I just don't remember.
Oh, you can't turn the camera? That's cheating.
Like I can see anything. Activator was a good guess. I think it's something similar to that, but I don't remember.
Eviscerator.
The answer is the Aura Interactor.
Interactor.
And it is sitting right over there on my shelf.
Interactor activator. I was so darn close.
Well, the activator is actually a different thing. The activator was a ring that you got into and did motion with kicks and punches and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, Blue, you're up next. Ryan currently is in the lead with only 1 point.
80s.
80s classics.
80s classics.
80s classics. What is the highest grossing video game of all time?
I thought the highest grossing video game of all time was Minecraft, but that's not an 80s game.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say Tetris.
Final answer?
Yes.
Wrong. What? Ryan, you can steal.
Oh, I'm in the same conundrum because I thought it was as well Minecraft. So I'm going to say Pac-Man. Final
answer?
Yeah.
That is correct.
Oh, what's up?
What are the numbers? What are the numbers?
Since being released in 1980, it has earned an estimated $2.5 billion.
And how much has Tetris earned?
I'm not sure how much Tetris has earned.
How do you know it's less?
Because the article told me so. And I did my own research, okay? I did my own research. Okay. And of course, Blue is doing her follow-up research. But as of right now, Ryan is in the lead with 2 points. Ryan, your category choice. Go ahead,
I'm going to go with haiku. I'm curious how this one's going to pan out.
Okay. So many boxers. How will I ever survive? Did that guy kick me?
Oh, man. You had me until kick me. I'm going to go... This. You said this is 80s, or is this just in general?
No, this is just in general.
Oh, okay, then I'm going to go with Super Punch-Out.
Final answer?
Final answer.
You are correct. Did that guy kick the first time when I was playing Super Punch-Out, and I can't remember what his name was, but he fucking kicks you. I'm like, that's not fair. You can't do that in Punch-Out.
Dragon Chan, yep.
Yes. All right, Blue. Ryan is having a commanding lead over you. Are you going to retake?
I have questions about this lead, but okay. I'll take haiku.
3 brothers we are. Each of us has special skills. Do not call us lost.
The Lost Vikings?
Final answer?
Yeah.
She's on the board, ladies and gentlemen.
I was going to say, if that's not it, then I have nothing.
All right. Ryan has 3. Blue has 1. Ryan, go ahead and pick your category, sir.
I'm going to go with 80s.
What 1987 RPG followed the adventures of the Light Warriors?
Light Warriors. Not Warriors of Light. Light Warriors.
Light Warriors.
My first thought is either Dragon Quest or Dragon Warrior, depending on where you're from. Because that's Warrior of Light. So I'll go with that.
Dragon Quest?
Dragon Quest.
Wrong. Blue, would you like to steal?
Wasn't Final Fantasy released in 1987, though? Or am I wrong? Sure, Final Fantasy.
Ding, 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 ding. That is correct.
You're right. Oh, man.
There she is. 3-2. She's pulling back. Ryan. It is Blue's turn.
My turn.
She can tie it up.
I'm not going to know the answer, but I will choose full motion video because you went to the trouble of putting those questions together.
Okay. What 1992 full motion video game has your trainer telling you to shoot the tubes, dog meat?
Shoot the tubes, dog meat? Is it? 92 was Night Trap, so Night Trap.
Wrong. Ryan?
Sewer Shark.
Final answer?
Final answer.
That's correct.
Boom, baby!
We are currently sitting at Ryan 4, Blue 2. We'll do one last question each. Ryan, what's your category?
I thought the haikus were interesting, so I'm going to stick with that one.
This is my city. I build and destroy all day. In here, I am God.
I mean, that could be so many games. It's like a God Sim. So it could be SimCity. Man. Yeah, I'm just going to go with SimCity. Final answer.
You, sir, are correct.
Whoa!
Are correct.
Oh, yes.
5-2. All right, Blue, we're going to help you out because this has been done for me before. Blue, if you get this one right, you will have 5 points.
No pressure.
No pressure. No pressure.
Oh, gosh.
So what's your grab bag, Haiku Heaven, Resident Evil, Full Motion Video Frenzy, or 80s classics?
I think grab bag is the only one I haven't done. So
We all know that on the first issue of Nintendo Power, it showed Mario jumping on a toadstool, getting away from the King Toad in Super Mario Bros. 2. What game was featured on the second issue of Nintendo Power?
are you kidding me? Zelda.
Final answer?
Well, if it was Mario 2, so it would probably be Zelda 2.
Ryan, do you know the answer?
I was thinking like Castlevania, but I'm thinking that's probably wrong.
You're half right. It's Castlevania 2.
To Simon's Quest.
Simon's Quest.
I knew it. I knew it.
That's
at that.
completely out of left field. What's in the second episode cover of Nintendo Power? Oh,
That's not out of left field
I mean,
for somebody who should know.
why should I know? My parents never let me have that magazine.
Was that just like Playboy in your house? Like no Nintendo Power?
You're reading this Japanese filth. So without further ado, thank you for listening to episode 134 of Gamers Week Podcast, and a big thank you to the Retro Game Club Podcast, Love Retro BTW, A Gamer Looks at 40, and Pixel Pond Production for sponsoring this episode. Don't forget to check out their links in the show notes. If you want to connect with Gamers Week, follow us on Twitter at Gamers Week PC. Follow us right here on Twitch at twitch.tv slash Gamers Week Podcast. I almost said my own channel.
I see how it is.
Where we will record live every Wednesday at 8:30 Central Standard Time. Email us at gamersweekpodcast@gmail.com. Visit our merch store at gamers-week-podcast.creator-ring.com, or if you want to do it the easy way, follow the link in the show notes. And last but not least, join us on Patreon at patreon.com/gamersweek. Finally, since you made it all the way to the end of the episode, please leave us a rating and review to let us know how we did. We really do value your feedback, and while you're there, consider subscribing on iTunes, Spotify, or your podcast platform of choice.
And don't forget, next week, no new episode because we'll be at PRGE.
That's right.
Yes.
But don't
Blue
forget to find
and
us.
I will be at PRGE. I don't know if we have any stickers left. At least I don't, but I've got business cards.
That's okay because you'll be running the kissing booth. So they'll remember you either way.
And maybe you'll get to remember them with like a cold sore or something.
Our listeners do not have cold sores.
No, I'm not saying it's our
amazing.
listeners. It's the randos. It's the randos.
Oh, the randos who show up and like Gamers Week Podcast? I don't care. I just here for
I want those lips though.
I'll eat a whole bunch of gefilte fish and dog food before I take my shift in the kissing booth.
Before you take your shift, and no, it's your booth.
But it's your booth. You got to do it 'cause it's your booth. No, this is a team effort, so
I'm promoting the booth, and you're actually in the booth.
it sounds like awfully like a pimp. And
Should I bring like a cane and a purple suit?
I think you would look good.
if you guys are at PERGE, feel free to stop us and say hi and talk our ears off and all that stuff. So we will see you guys, well, next week whenever we do the streaming for Monday. But after that, we'll see you the following week.
All right.
Bye.
Nighty
Bye,
night.
guys. Night.
Keep your butthole tight. We couldn't do what we do without the help of our gorgeous patrons. Here are the generous folks supporting Gamers Week on Patreon.
We're going to stop that one because we do have a new patron.
We do. Okay.
Hold, please. Have you ever tried to type really fast while people are watching you?
Yeah,
Yes.
I do it all the time on Zoom calls.
Judging.
Okay, go ahead.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut, Patrons with Benefits. This is the unscripted, patron-only bonus cast with less editing and more dirty jokes. We don't know where the conversation will go, but we're sure it will be weird.
This fish just went right on my nipple, and I'm just like,
I Google Street Fighter 6. The first search result that comes up is people think they can see Ryu's dick in the Street Fighter 6 reveal.
Listen up here, kids. You're not going to want to get one of those VDSTDs things, right? Make it fall off. When you go, grab a pro. You'll be doing it for America.
that was perfect.
If you want to hear weekly episodes of our patron-only bonus cast, join us at patreon.com/gamersweek.